Hello, it's Thomas here, and I'm doing something a little different. I thought I'd do an introduction to this video because it's not one of my, I'd say, typical videos, and its length. It's a very long video, and so I thought I'd give a quick introduction. If you're looking for a short video, this is not the one. If you're looking for an exciting, well-edited video, this is also not the one. This is one of my real-time, real-life videos, like all of my videos are. For activations, and it's a park activation. It was a beautiful day. I even had some visitors to my site. It was great in all those respects, but it was a challenging activation. And at first I wasn't going to share this because I thought I was just going to delete the video because it was taking so long. But then I thought again, and it's pretty representative of what it's like doing a park activation these days in the era of not so wonderful propagation. And frankly, I don't go out for the numbers. I think a lot of people in the Parks on the Air and SOTA and WWFF, a lot of people, they don't really go out for numbers. These aren't contests, they're activities. And we go out because we enjoy playing radio in the field. And so I decided to actually publish this video, and I think it's probably an hour and 20 minutes long or something. Feel free to skip over this one if you want to. There are not a lot of contacts rolling in. I do quite a bit of talking because there's a lot of time involved in this one, a lot of kind of dead time. So, but I want people to know that if you're new to field activities like activating parks and summits and islands or whatever, these are tough days some days. And after I got home from this activation and uploaded the log, I decided to check out what other people had been doing that day in terms of activations, and by and large everyone was complaining about propagation. Some people didn't make their activations. Unfortunately, there were a couple of new people who were doing a very first activation that day and didn't get their activation validated, which means you have 10 contacts. And it's a shame. I don't want people to get discouraged. It's not necessarily your equipment or the operator. It very oftentimes is just propagation, and hopefully things will improve with the new solar cycle, but right now things are just not that stable. Sometimes you go out and have a wonderful time and the bands are kind of open and it's fantastic and it goes gangbusters. Other times not so much. If you just practice patience, if you can stay in the field longer, if you have a couple of hours to spend in the field, you'll probably validate your activation with time, but it just takes longer to do it. Usually my activations are short, like an hour long. This one's a little bit longer. Anyway, feel free to skip over this video if you feel like it. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy. Hello, this is Thomas, K4SWL, and today I'm at a new to me park, which is Table Rock Fish Hatchery, K8012, in the Parks on the Air network. And I've never been to this site before. It has been activated quite a few times, I think about 7 times so far. Fish hatcheries are sort of a new entity here in North Carolina. They are basically owned by, I think they're part of the National Wildlife, or not National, the Wildlife Resources Commission here in North Carolina. And I think they started adding them to the POTA network 3 months ago, something like that. I have not been out to any of them yet. I've been kind of focusing this year on finding summits and things. This particular site is at Table Rock is actually closed, and it's interesting because I had this on my radar, and one of my readers and viewers here, Max, and Max, I may get your call sign wrong here. I think it's WG4Z. I'm sorry if I've butchered your call sign. I'm horrible about remembering call signs. But he had just sent me an email like in the past day or so and said he had been out here, and even though that the gates were closed here, a park ranger came out and confirmed that we could use the picnic tables they have out here in front of the site, which are really nice, and it is actually on the fish hatchery property, so that works out really well. I had not actually planned to come out today. This is really an impromptu activation, but I always keep a transceiver in the car and always keep an antenna in the car, and I'm lucky enough that I still had my pack I used last time for a SOTA activation, so I had my KX2 in there, and I also had the ICOM IC705. I decided to pull out the 705 because I think I used the KX2 at my last activation, and then I was lucky enough to have my Chameleon antenna system in there, the Impasse 2.0. And so I decided to do something completely different. I've never done this with a chameleon antenna before, but I set it up more like a random wire antenna. So instead of having the vertical, two assemblies that you would see up there, I've actually just used one of their lines as a radiator, which they have in their owner's manual, the instruction manual, as a configuration, and I have it set up as an inverted V. So I don't know if you'll be able to see this in the video or not, but it kind of goes up here, and it goes up about that high in the tree. You may be able to see the end of my arborist throw line. That's the apex, and then it comes back down, and I've just used a dead branch over here to hold down the end of it. Now I did an inverted V configuration because I want this to be slightly toward the NVIS side of things, a NIVIS antenna, because today propagation is very poor. I'd like to try to work the lower bands and maybe work some of the states right around here. And apologies to Carl at Chameleon Antennas, if he happens to be watching this. I didn't bring my manual with me, but I decided to put a counterpoise wire on here. It seems like when I looked at the diagram it wasn't necessary, but I did it anyway, so I don't think it'll hurt anything, but I ran out probably 30 feet of counterpoise wire here, something like that. I figure it'll tune up. We'll see. If it doesn't, then I can take off the counterpoise, or I can shorten it or lengthen it or do something else to it. But we'll give it a go. I'm hoping this will serve me pretty well. This is the great thing about chameleon antennas, though. There are just a number of ways you can configure them. And I will mention one thing about this site that's kind of interesting. Well, you actually have cables running through this site, power lines and things. And this is something you have to really pay attention to, even when you're going to a park. It's easy to overlook this, and the last thing you want to do is throw an antenna up into power line, or get your antenna anywhere near a power line. It can be very, very dangerous. So always look out for power lines, and that's one of the reasons you wouldn't want to set up a vertical right underneath the power line. So kind of keep that in mind. This is not an ideal camera setup here today, and I'm sorry about that. And normally I have my lapel mic with me, and I'm looking to do something completely different with my camera system. I really am not super pleased with the way the microphone section is working on this, but anyway, we'll go for this today, and try not to speak too loudly and just blow you out while we're doing the CW here and everything. Let me look and see if I can get everything in the camera correctly. Oddly enough, it is kind of a weird day to be doing this. It's very gusty. You can't tell that in the video, but it's very gusty, and it keeps blowing things around. And then on top of it, this picnic table, being made of concrete, is at a weird angle to use a tripod. So it's a little challenging for me to get in here, but we'll see if we can make this work. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to use the ICOM 705 is I wanted to try the MAT tuner. This is the MAT 705 Plus antenna tuner. And you know it's the Plus because it has a little USB-C charge port on the front of it. I want to hook this up and see, first of all, does it have power? Because I'm still working off of the initial charge I put in this ATU back in, I don't know, December or January, and I've probably taken this out a dozen times on activation since then. So we'll have to see if it has power, first of all. If it doesn't, I'm not going to charge it here on site. I have an Elecraft T1 sitting off to the side over here that I can use, so that'll work. Let's just see really quickly, actually, if this thing's going to work. I have not plugged it in yet. As with all my videos, you are with me as we do this. The only thing I did in advance was set up that antenna because, frankly, it's the first time I've set it up that way, and I didn't want to fumble my way through it on a video. Plus, I want to keep this video slightly short since I don't do any edits in it. Okay, so now it is plugged in. When I turn this on, okay, that's a positive sign. I am seeing a glow. You can't tell very easily on the camera, probably. I'm seeing a glow coming from the ATU. That's a good sign. Look at that. I had this on AM. This is the great thing about the 705. So you can do medium wave or AM broadcast band DXing if you want to. Okay, let's move up to 40 meters, which I think is where I'll start. And let's see if this guy will tune up. What I'll do is go into function and to the tuner. Okay, I got a 1 to 2 to 1, 1.2 to 1, something like that, which is fantastic. That'll work plenty fine for me. And it is very much powered on and seems to be working. Now, the reason why I was curious about this is early on I wanted to see as an experiment how long this will go on one charge, taking it out to the field and using it. And recently, just like yesterday, I got an email from a reader. I think Mike was his name, and he had commented that he had gone to a YouTuber and blogger's website, Julian. And Julian, if you have the misfortune of watching this, I'm sorry. I can't remember Julian's call sign. He's located in Finland, and it's an OH call sign, and I can't even remember the name of his channel. But if you look at YouTube and you look at the types of videos like this, you are going to find Julian's channel on there. So I know a lot of you are probably right now telling me, get his call sign. But Julian did a post about the ICOM AH705, which is an antenna tuner I haven't tested yet. It's the ICOM antenna tuner. And he was saying that the real negative with the MAT705 Plus is its battery life. And so this particular reader was asking me, have I had issues with the battery life? Well, no, I haven't, actually. And so I was very curious to read Julian's blog post, and I did. And if I can remember to do so, and you can remind me in the comment section if I forget, I'll try to put a link to his blog post on this description. But I read Julian's blog post, and I decided that really we're using this antenna tuner two totally different ways, probably. I have yet to do a second charge on this. This is working off the initial charge I gave it when I first received it, which I think was in December. It could have been January. But I've done at least probably a dozen activations with this since then. Now, Julian, I get the impression, probably has his 705 set up in his shack and has this hooked up to it at all times, which is what normal people would do if you are using your 705 in the shack and you need an antenna tuner. I don't do that. I only use my external antenna tuners in the field. And the reason why is at my shack, it's a little different. I have to disengage all antenna tuners in my shack because I have an external remote antenna tuner at the base of my antenna feed line outside. And so if I have an antenna tuner like this one running in the shack, it'll run and kind of compete with the antenna tuner outside, and it'll just create a lot of inefficiency. So I don't ever use an antenna tuner in my shack because I've got one at the base of my antenna outdoors. So I haven't actually left the MAT705 Plus hooked up to the 705 at all times. I need to do that, and I want to try it. I want to wait till this thing starts to run down before I do it, because I really do want to see about how many activations I can do and how long it'll go off of that initial charge. But I'll try it here and plug it in, but Julian says he only gets like 7 or 8 hours of total time, which means that this doesn't fall asleep. It doesn't put itself into a sleep position when it's hooked up to the 705. And that would be a shame because, quite a lot of people use these in the shack. I'm kind of probably more of an anomaly than anything when it comes to that. So anyway, we'll see if it tunes up again. Probably we'll move up to 20 meters here in a little bit and give that a go. One other small note I wanted to point out is everybody asks me what size of weight I use on my arborist throw line. And if you've read qrpeer.com, you've seen me link to the arborist throw line. I'll do it in this particular post as well. I use a 12-ounce weight. They come in, I think, 8, 10, 12, and 16. I think 16 is just too heavy, and I've read other reports of people saying that it wasn't ideal for them. I've only used 12. I have two different I have two different throw lines. One's a portable one that comes in a small bag. Actually, I think I've got it here with me. Or maybe not. No, yeah, I do. I have a throw line that goes in this bag right here, which you can't see very easily, but And this is made by Weaver. I really like the Weaver company. They make all their stuff in Mount Hope, Ohio, including the bag. And in here I have a 12 ounce throw weight as well. And I find that they just are nice. They work for me. I could probably go with a 10 ounce weight. I don't think I'd ever go to a 16 ounce weight though. I've never had this thing tangle up in a tree ever, not even once. It just goes up and comes straight down, which is, I guess, the reason why arborist use them so much. They just tend to work really well. I've heard, and the reason I like Weaver too, the inside they have a little leather pouch, I think, that holds the buckshot or whatever it is they have in here. I've read reports of cheaper ones, and there are a lot of cheaper ones out there. If you throw them up high in a tree and they come down, I've heard that some of these will bust open, and that's the reason I go with these Weaver ones. They're just kind of bulletproof. So anyway, let's get going here. I did schedule this right before I left to head home today. I did schedule this activation, so with any luck, the Reverse Beacon Network will pick me up, and the Parks on the Air Network will spot me. If not, my buddy Mike, K8RAT, is listening for me, so let's give this a go. I am doing something wrong with this, and I think it has to do with this wire that goes to the key. The key works beautifully. This is one that CW Morse makes with little magnets on the bottom, and they gave this to me to evaluate and try out. You see me with little red paddles, and I love those. This would be really nice. I'm thinking about putting a little metal plate on my clipboard, and this will probably hold down to it really nicely. But I've been doing something weird, and I think it's this little yellow line that's not working properly. Okay, let's go ahead and call CQ. Let me pull up my key or memories here. So this will be running at 5 watts. I'm using the battery pack that comes with the IC705. Let's tell it we're putting 40 meters CW on here. Again, I'll try not to talk too loudly while we're doing this. I'll tell you what, this type of table will really do a number to the bottom of this radio because it's plastic. I'm trying not to scrape it too much. I don't care about this little 3D printed foot. I think it can scrape up all it wants to, but I'd rather not have the bottom of the radio doing a lot of that. But this thing is super rough. So yeah, I'd be curious of your comments if you have an MAT705 Plus, if you've discovered that really the battery life isn't all that great being hooked up all the time. I can tell you that when you unhook it, obviously it does go into sleep mode because it wouldn't have lasted this long otherwise. And Julian, again, if you happen to be watching this, I'll try to link to you below, but I'm pretty sure that anybody watching this channel has probably seen Julian's channel. It's got a lot of content, a lot to do with prepping and emergency comms and QRP, and Julian does a lot of digital modes, including WinLink and things like that. He's got a really cool TP he uses when he goes out in the field, one like I'd like to have. I'm slightly envious of him being able to operate up in Finland. I think it'd be a really cool place to be. Ooh, this is going to be a tough day, I can tell. Mike sent me a text moments ago saying that propagation's horrible right now. It's been my luck lately. Whoops. Well, that stopped the memory keying. Ooh, he came up. You know, I'll probably do it. If Mike called me, though, I can guarantee you he spotted me. Oh, KN3A. That's Scott. Uh-oh, did he not hear me come back? That may be how bad it is. Ooh, that's really weak. 229. The great thing about having memory keying is when I want to log, which I'm doing over here on a Surface Go tablet, it's much easier to log and key at the same time. It's a beautiful day today. It's about 82 degrees, I think I saw in the car before I hopped out. Which for our friends in Europe, you know, I don't know how to convert that. But I lived in Europe a long time, and frankly, I never converted it when I lived there. I just knew it. It feels like 28-ish, 29-ish, something like that. I may be way off. Probably about 28, 29 degrees Celsius. It's just beautiful. I mean, it feels like summer here today, which is really nice. I may try 80 meters as well, which should be in a little bit better shape if conditions are poor. And I'm betting that I can tune this to 80 meters. Chameleon stuff usually can tune all the way down to 160. Yeah, we may go down to 80 meters and give that a go. Let's see. It'll be kind of interesting to see if it'll go to 80. Will it tune or will it not? Let's find out. I like 35, 38. Yeah, I'm just going to be cavalier here and go ahead and tune up. You know, 1-to-1. Look at that. I'm going to make sure on my Surface Go over here on the side that I'm changing my frequency. Let's see here. I've got just enough cell phone coverage to send out text messages, but not enough for internet. I'm not too surprised. It's actually a really pretty drive on the way over here, pretty surprising. But this is kind of near the foot of Table Rock Mountain, which is a really pretty kind of standout summit here in western North Carolina, around the Linville Gorge area. Some beautiful, beautiful spots over there. Lots of summits to activate in that area, and quite a lot of parks too. I mean, the Blue Ridge Parkway runs nearby up there. Lots of national forests. It is a playground, if you like, field radio. Some great off-roading up in that area too. Boy, Mike wasn't kidding. These are really bad conditions today. It seems every time I've gone out lately, we've had some of the worst propagation that I've experienced in a while. And by bad, it doesn't mean that you can't make DX contacts on, say, 20 meters or 17 meters. You can certainly do that. Usually, when propagation's shaky, it's just incredibly unstable. And when it's unstable, you know, it can be tough making contacts because by the time you send an exchange, the band could have fallen apart and go into a trough of QSB, and you have to wait for it to come back up for somebody to hear you. That's what I was assuming was happening with Scott there, KN3A. You know, I'm very happy of one thing. When I see power lines really close to a site, it worries me that I'll hear power line noise or something else around here. But this is really, really quiet, which is nice. This may be at the very end of this particular power line. Wow, it's amazing that I'm not hearing anyone come back to me. This happens though. Sorry about all this wind. So, probably by now, by the time you're seeing this video, it takes me a while to post these videos because at home I don't have a very good internet connection. I live in a very rural area, and so I have to wait until I'm near an internet connection to do video uploads, which makes it at least a week out almost anytime I make a video. I did a park, and summit activation all at one site for Rendezvous Mountain, if you've seen that. And I was lucky enough to be able to get through that activation without any problems, mainly because it was on both the POTA Worldwide Flora and Fauna and Summits on the Air spotting pages, I believe. So had a lot of attention, a lot of people looking at it, and I was able to get it. Later that day, I activated a game land, and it was incredibly painful to get 10 contacts. And I was using my NFED half-wave antenna. It was an ideal setup, but I think it took me an hour and 15 minutes to get 10 contacts. and it was just the propagation was so bad. And later that day I looked on the POTA Facebook page, which I'd recommend that you look at. I'm not a big fan of Facebook, but unfortunately that's where a lot of groups like this kind of get together. And lots and lots and lots of notes, people saying that they struggled through activations that particular day. And then you get people like down in Florida or on the coast of Maine or something that would just go gangbusters. Propagation can be so weird. Okay, you know what? Let's move up to a different band. Let's see what happens on 10 meters. Ooh! Haha! I was listening to shortwave radio last time I was using that, I can tell. Let's go to... See, I'm not seeing a lot of people on the waterfall spectrum either. Let's go ahead and tune this guy up. Wait, what am I doing? Very quick. Okay, now I'm seeing a few more people now that I've got a match. But nobody right on top of me. We'll give 30 meters a go. Maybe we'll get a little activity here. Earlier today I got a really good report. I was with my mom at the oncologist, and her cancer is just was really beaten down by her treatment that she's been doing for the past year. There is no sign of anything active going on, which is just phenomenal news. So I don't care how the activation goes today. That made my year. We always like to get good news like that. 1 year ago, it was tough times. She was in really rough shape. She's very lucky. She has a form of cancer that responds really well to a targeted treatment, and it's not rough on her system. It's not as tough as regular chemo, and it's been incredibly effective for her, which we're just all very happy about that. Yeah, I should probably let Mike know that I'm on 30 meters now. With any luck, though, the reverse beacon network. Nope, it's not picking me up. So I'm going to start doing... Mike just sent me something saying nothing of you on the reverse beacon network. So what I'm going to do is a long reverse beacon network sort of CQ. Maybe that one will get the attention of the reverse beacon network. The fact that RBN isn't picking me up is telling me that it's a little scary. But, you know, that's the way it happens when you're out in the field and you're doing this stuff and propagation's shaky. You never know what's going to happen, but usually work enough people. Got a lot of great comments after my comparison video of why you would want to buy either the ICOM IC705 or the Elecraft KX2. Those decisions are really difficult because both of them are excellent radios, but they do kind of have two different applications. So by and large, people said that they would go with the 705, but the people who want to do the trail stuff and SOTA, they tended to say the KX2, and that pretty much makes sense. Both can do both jobs, but the KX2 is a little better with summits on the air and things where you really want a very compact size, and you don't need a screen with waterfall and everything, but boy, is the 705 a great radio. I like using it for these videos because the speaker is so nice. It's got to have the nicest internal front-facing speaker of any portable transceiver I own. This speaker is kind of akin to what you would find in a mobile radio. So kind of punchy audio, tailored for voice and CW, not really for music or anything, of course. But this is a great shortwave radio broadcast band listening receiver. In fact, it's good for FM as well. And sorry, I was just seeing somebody over here, a little four-wheeler coming by. But if you do any kind of broadcast band listening, you would want to hook it up to an external speaker with a little bit better audio, or use Bluetooth headset or something like that. That's not something I've done yet. You can hook it up to a Bluetooth speaker for that matter. I heard N. Ooh. Can't get them. Okay, maybe they'll come back. They're having a hard time hearing me. I heard a 4 call out there. Oh, the conditions are horrible. You may be noticing, if you're looking at my hand, I've got like a million Band-Aids on it right now. I mangled it up in a project I was doing at my house. And unfortunately, the wounds have not been healing like they should. I think I got them a little bit infected, so I've been trying to treat them. But you can't get Band-Aids anymore that stay on. I try to get swimmers Band-Aids a lot of the time, and sometimes they'll stay on. But Band-Aids, I just put these on like 3 hours ago, and they're already falling off. Well, this may be really slow going, but you know what? This happens sometimes when you do park activations, and when you do a real-time video like this, you're kind of getting the whole thing. So when you go to a park, keep in mind that it could take you an hour to do an activation to get 10 people in your books on a day like today. It really could. And so just be patient. And even if you don't complete the activation, if you don't get 10, don't worry about it. Just finish off your activation and then submit your logs for who you do have, because you want them to get credit for where you are. A lot of times when I don't complete an activation, with time, you can almost always complete an activation. You really can, because with time you'll eventually work your 10 stations. But in my case, with my family life, I usually don't have that much time. Like today, I can probably spend 30 more minutes here, but I really can't spend a lot more than that. And so it's a little iffy. You know, we've been going here, about 35 minutes or so already? But I've probably only been on the air, I've only been on the air maybe 20 minutes. I may or may not be able to complete the activation on my end, but these people will get credit for it. And that's really it. I don't even pay attention to my numbers. I can't remember how many I have right now. That's not the reason I do this. I do this because I enjoy it and just like getting out and playing radio in the field, even on tough days. Yeah, maybe I'll try to go up to 20 meters. Wow, this is tough today. Okay. It would help if I ran 10 watts even with this, but I really do want to try activations with 5 watts this year, at least to validate my activation. 10 watts difference on CW really doesn't make a lot of difference between 10 and 5 watts. The antenna makes more difference. And this is actually a really good antenna configuration for this. There's no reason why this wouldn't work. This is sort of similar to my MCOM3 portable random wire antenna, really, which has been a super effective antenna when I've taken it to the field, even on bad days. But it looks like today it doesn't matter what kind of antenna you've got, you're going to be suffering a little bit. We'll move up to 20 meters here in a second. And then we may move back down to 40. It could be by then, 40 meters may be better. Let's go up to 20. See if this thing will tune up on 20. I'll move over to... Yeah, there's way less people in the bands, even though after I tune up, it'll get a little louder. And people probably know this, but this isn't actually tuning your antenna. It's just making a match between... Oh, there we go. Yeah, about 1-to-1. It's giving your transceiver a match it'll like. It's bringing the impedance. It's matching the impedance of the antenna and the transceiver, what the transceiver wants to see, and that's really what you're doing with an antenna tuner. You're not actually tuning the antenna per se, but these are very nice because it gives your transceiver a nice impedance it likes, so you don't have a high SWR. It's kind of a little more efficient. It doesn't mean that you wouldn't have less power out. Sometimes you can have a pretty good power output even with a high SWR, but the transceiver doesn't like it, neither do the finals usually. Boy, I can tell you now, even 20 meters, I'm not seeing many stations on here. That is not good. I'll send a text to my buddy Mike if I can get it to go through. Let him know I'm on. Getting no service on my phone right now. Okay. So this may be one of my first videos I've done where I don't get my 10 for an activation. But you know what? I can't hang around here forever today. And I'm cool with that, actually. I've been reading a lot of Facebook posts from POTA activators doing some of their very first POTA activations, getting really, really frustrated because they haven't been able to get a valid activation. They haven't been able to get their 10 contacts they need. And I mean, that's just the way it is these days with conditions the way they are. We are in the doldrums of propagation in terms of the solar cycle. Things should get better here in the next couple of years, 3 years especially. We'll start to head up the solar cycle. ARRL certainly thinks that it'll be a good one. I'm skeptical, I really am, but I want to believe. I really want to believe. I'd love to see a really nice solar cycle. But, don't be discouraged by that. With POTA or SOTA or any of those activities, just go out and do your bit and enjoy being outdoors and playing radio. look at it as each opportunity is just a way that you can hone your skills and play with antennas and try different approaches. And that's the way I do it. That was to kick off the reverse beacon network if I need to. So while we're doing this, I will tell you, people have asked me how I got into CW, and so I'll speak to that a little bit right now. So there's something else for you to listen to besides me calling my own call sign. Basically, when I got into amateur radio, it was around 1997. I think that's the year I got my license. And back then we had a different entry level call ticket, which was basically the novice license, and there was a technician license. They were two different things. The novice license gave you HF privileges, but they were mostly CW, and the technician license gave you VHF and everything above. Well, they created another type of license, which was the novice and the technician. If you had both of those and you passed both those elements and the 5 word per minute Morse code test, then you had a Tech Plus license, and that's what I had. That's what I went straight to. I took my novice and technician at the same time and my 5 word per minute test and passed it. And to learn 5 words per minute, I had an old set of Gordon West CW tapes. And he just teaches how to basically know enough CW to pass your test. It's very, very accessible, very easy to do. And Gordo's a great host of that. I mean, he really is. It was great listening to it. And he's a nice guy. If you've never met him at Hamvention or someplace, he's a super nice fellow. And I listened to his tapes, I passed it, and I read a lot of different stories from different people saying, the best way to learn it is with there's a method where you basically have fast code but slow spacing. If I could go back in time, that's probably the way I would have done it, because it is nice learning the characters at 15 words a minute, but spacing at 3 to 5 words a minute, because I think your brain will pick it up just as easily. And people told me about, 10 to 13 word per minute thresholds that you encounter, and a lot of different things. But after I got licensed, I did a few CW contacts, and then I just kind of stopped. I moved to the UK. We were there. Before I moved to the UK, actually, I got my general class license here in the US. And shortly after I got that license, I moved to the UK. And there I got my UK call, which is M0CYI. And I had a little FT817, and I operated that there for I was probably active for maybe 3 years or something there. Never did CW. I don't know, I was a little too intimidated by it or something, and I didn't do it. And I didn't have time. I was working a lot at the time. I didn't have time to really practice it a whole lot in my spare time. So in, 2007, my daughters were born, and I changed career paths, and I was at home a whole lot and watching them at home. And so what better to do when you've got 2 little twin babies but to sit around and play those Gordon West tapes again. And I decided I was going to learn my characters and just kind of not worry about how fast they were or anything. I just wanted to learn my characters. And then my buddy Mike, K8RAT, who I just worked, I contacted him and I said, Mike, let's hop on the air. As soon as I knew my characters, I asked him to hop on the air with me. So he and I started working each other about once a morning, almost every day of the week. And we did that for probably 6 or 7 or 8 months maybe. And it brought my CW skills up to probably 13 or 15 words a minute, pretty reliably doing rag chews with Mike. Then I started building a house, and that was a project that took me 2 full years. Actually, it took a little bit longer than that. Everything beforehand, preparing the ground, getting land and all that. And moved into the house, eventually set up my ham radio shack and everything, and CW kind of went on the back burner. It was a mode I'd pull out when I needed to test a transceiver, if I wanted to do a quick rag chew with Mike and my buddy Eric, WD8RIF. I didn't actually do that very much with them in CW, but I could, and I kind of let my skills really fall to the side. And last year, I decided to learn CW again, mainly for reverse beacon network functionality, like where we are now, where a lot of parks here in Western North Carolina, you'll go to them and you have no cell phone service, no way to spot yourself. We're going to move back down to 40 while I'm talking. There we go. See, it remembered that frequency, and so it didn't take long for it to tune. It knew exactly where to go. And you know what? I'll do one long CQ call and then I'll continue here. Okay, so anyway, I let it fall to the side, and last year I decided I really wanted to learn CW because I was going to so many parks that had no cell phone service or anything, and I wanted to use the reverse beacon network to spot me. So what I did was I didn't pull out my tapes again, but I pulled out, I got a program called Moore's Runner, and you can look it up, just do a Google search for Moore's Runner. It's a wonderful little program written by someone, I think in Russia or Europe, I can't remember, but it simulates CW pileups, which is really a new CW activator's worst nightmare are getting pileups. And I thought, well, let's just work our way through this. So I had to start at a very slow speed, like maybe 7 words a minute to 10 words a minute, because really my CW skills I needed to polish up again. And you can set it to where you have, it really does simulate CW pileups to the point that, like, you just in your head had to remind yourself that they weren't real. Let's see if someone's coming on here. Thought I heard somebody tuning up. Yeah, I hear somebody tuning up. Or is that a digital mode? I think that may have been like a digital mode thing. And you can tell it that you want no more than 2 people in a pileup, or 3 or 4 or 5. You can add QSB into it. You can add lids. Oh gosh. Oh, seriously? Seriously? This always happens to me. Let's move up there. Oh, I hate this. There, I got somebody, and people running digital modes often do not look to see if anybody's there. They just start going, and that's it. And unfortunately, I can deal with it. I can listen through it, but it can be really difficult for somebody on the other end, especially if it's much louder on their end. So I tend to move when I'm running QRP in the field. I just move frequency slightly and get out of the way of the QRM. Oh, yes. There we go. Okay, we got 2 more in. That's nice. Okay, so yes, I used Moore's Runner. It built my confidence in a way that was off the air, which was kind of nice. And I'd highly recommend it. And as soon as I was able to comfortably copy people at like 13 words a minute, I got my transceiver. I think it was my KX2. I headed over to the Blue Ridge Parkway. I picked out a park that was well trampled, right? I didn't want to go to a rare park because I didn't want to invite a big pileup or anything. And I went out there and started calling CQ, and I sweated my way through that first activation, but it built my confidence, and I was very happy I made it through. Parks on the Air activators are very, very patient CW operators. Whoops, did I hear somebody? Did I hear somebody out there? I don't think so. Okay. So they're very patient and allow you to do your thing. And if you mess up, if it takes you a while, if you have to ask them to slow down, never forget QRS, which means please slow down. And you can send QRS and people will slow down for you. And you should always send at the speed that you would like someone to reply. Sometimes you'll get people replying a little quicker, but they'll usually slow down for you. And if you make a mistake, don't worry about it. It's very normal stuff. It's rare that in an activation on the other end I don't hear a hunter make a mistake. And that's okay. Oh, I think I hear somebody tuning up, or it could be another digital mode person. Yeah, it'll take nothing short of a miracle for me to do an activation today because I really can't hang around a whole lot longer. But I hear that 40 meters may be improving slightly, ever so slightly. I got 4 contacts. Like I said, hey, it's okay if I don't get a valid activation on this. It was fun putting up a different antenna, completely different antenna configuration. It's fun seeing if this would work, which it is. I'm happy about that, which really does confirm this thing sleeps when you don't have the command cable hooked up to it. But I'm a little concerned about it if you do have it hooked up all the time. And again, I'd really appreciate anybody who has one of these and the ICOM IC705 to comment if you found that also the power just doesn't last very long in it. I guess you could keep a charger hooked into it at all times, but you know, the little switching power supplies that charge like USB-C blocks, these are not going to have, they're probably going to spew a little bit of RFI. They're probably going to spew a little bit of RFI, so that's not something you necessarily want to keep hooked up in your shack at all times. Overall, I've been pleased with this MAT705 Plus. I was not happy at all with the first iteration of the MAT705. I think it was just kind of half-baked. Didn't like it, and you can see that in my review. It tuned fine, but it burned through the little 9-volt battery that they used to have in there. This iteration with the rechargeable batteries works really well. If that's somebody, they're not calling me. They're super, super, super weak. But overall been pleased with it. If I'm being honest, I don't like it as much as I do my Elecraft T1 antenna tuner. And good. Okay, I think I got them in there. Whoops. Yay! Got him. See, that's probably, I'm guessing, that's probably someone new to CW there. They made it through that contact just fine. Okay, already got them in there. I got them in the logs. Here we go. Got a whopping 5 contacts now. But yeah, I am coming up to my 1 hour mark here with the video, so I'll probably cut this thing short and go ahead and pack up and head back. And Philip actually asked recently if I could have the CW decoder running on this while I'm using it. And I need to figure out how to do that. I need to figure out if I can have the CW decoder running while I have my key or memory blocks up there. It shows what I'm sending in this little line right here, but I've never actually had it set up to decode while I'm doing it. Obviously today is not a good day to do that because there's nothing to decode. So, ooh, you know what? I may try something different here. Let's try boy, I hope this is right. I don't know that I have my band plan with me, and I don't use 60 meters a lot, but I will give this a go really quickly. I'm pretty confident that that is the frequency, and I'm pretty confident that the 705 would not allow me to transmit there if it was out of bounds. I got a 1-to-1 match. You have to be a little careful with 60 meters. It is channelized, and you can't operate. There are power, requirements and all kinds of things there. I don't hear anybody else on the frequency. but I'm reasonably confident that is the frequency for that I usually use for CW when I do 60 meters. I really should keep a band plan with me. It's always a good idea for times like this where you're kind of half questioning it, but I am pretty confident. And I'm well within any kind of power requirements at 5 watts, of course. And since I'm doing CW, I'm smack in the middle of that frequency. We'll give this a go for about another 5 minutes or so. If I don't get anybody on here, I will just turn off the video and pack up. But we'll give this a go. And I'm not doing phone today for a couple different reasons. The main one is, if I'm struggling to do this in CW, I can tell you that phone will be even worse today. Because effectively CW is going to be sort of a punchier, more efficient signal than SSB. And so I'd probably really struggle. That, and I'd really have to rely on Mike or somebody to spot me through text messaging on any kind of SSBs. It's kind of interesting. If you're tuning up on this frequency, you are almost forced to tune up right around whoever's on frequency because this is channelized. Oh, but anyway, I was talking about CW activations. After I did that first one, it just really falls together. I mean, if you can, you have to kind of, go out there a bit to do your first one. You really do. It's a little nerve-wracking, but just take your time. Don't worry about it. Other people on the other end, they want you to succeed, and so they'll be patient and they'll work with you. And just do your best. And what happened to me was I actually found that CW quickly became my favorite mode. There's just kind of less competition on the CW band. So whereas on the SSB, I may hop on the band, I don't hear anybody, I ask if the frequency's in use, I start calling CQ, and then someone from a neighboring frequency will say, I've had this happen before, which I think is just absolutely crazy. But I remember once on 40 meters, I was on a very odd frequency. I never go on like a multiple of 5 because I don't want to pop on like a net frequency or something. I know I heard K8RAT in there. Oh, it's so hard. I think he's just kind of faded out. I know I heard him in there, though. I know I heard him in there. Yeah, CW quickly became my favorite mode, and a lot of that is, like I said, it's just not as crowded. When you're on 40 meters, you can easily find a spot. What I was telling you before I got distracted with actually trying to answer somebody. The I was on 40 meters on an odd frequency, and I started calling CQ POTA for maybe a minute. Wow, getting it. Two dogs just came by to say hi to me. That was off camera. You couldn't see it, but it's very funny. Hey guys, how are you? There's a little beagle over here. It's very funny. WA4 RCW. Hello there. See if you can see this doggy here. Well, hi there, fella. Hi. How are you? Yes. It's nice. The welcoming committee. So now I'm up to 8. Now I've got to get 2 more, that's all. I can do that, surely. I just don't know if any viewers would care to hang around that long, but I don't know if you've made it this long. Maybe you'll do it a little bit longer. It's awfully tempting to stay just to finish if I've got 8, though, I have to admit. But I'm getting a little late on time. Our little dog friend over here has decided he was just going to take a nap. That's very cute. Okay, I heard a K. Oops, sorry about this. I'm going to put this down for a second. Oops, this thing does not want to stick here. I'm having a hard time with this. Sorry. There we go. See if I can get this back on. Sorry about this. I've had a problem with my tripod. The little latch on it decided to pull off. There we go. was another dog over here. It looked more like a lab. They both came over and licked me while I was trying to work that station. First station I'd gotten in half an hour. Okay, I'm going to definitely finish this off. I just don't know if I'll keep the video this long. I may let the video run for a while and edit it or something. You know me, I don't like doing edits. But going back to what I was saying about CW. Oh no, it wasn't CW I was talking about. This is what happens when I'm trying to do two things at once. I'm horrible at doing that. I was talking about SSB and one of the reasons I love CW. One time I was out at a park in Ohio and I was calling CQ POTA on a 40 meter frequency, and I was running, I think, 4 watts or something. It was very low power, very, very low power. And I had listened around. I couldn't hear anything near me. And a guy stepped over on the frequency and he said, "Hey, would you mind moving? You're interfering with our net, which is 2 kilohertz away." Now, and it was below me, and I was on single sideband, so I guess hypothetically, they could have heard the edge. Hang on. Hypothetically, they could have heard the edge of my signal, but it couldn't have been horrible. Now, if I'd have been running a kilowatt, maybe, but like 4 watts, and on a day with mediocre propagation, there's no way I was really interfering, but they just didn't want any noise on their net at all, I guess. And CW is just nice and tidy. It just fits in a spot. It's rare that you have another CW signal interfering with you if you've got a good radio like the 705 with good filtering. It's just kind of cleaner and easier, it seems. And so that's one of the reasons I like CW so much, I think. I do love SSB, don't get me wrong. I love hopping on the bands and doing a little bit of phone. It's fun. I like hearing other people's voices. I can kind of talk a little more to somebody when I'm doing a phone contact on Parks on the Air or Summits on the Air. You can exchange things and you can say more than just GA, GM, or GE for, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And that's kind of nice. Okay, we're going to move frequencies again. Because you know what? I think I've worked everybody on 60. Should I move back up to 40? I'll go back up to 40. Maybe some more people have shown up. Yep, nobody there. Doing that knowing I had a hide SWR, but I'm not too worried about it. There we go. Bam, right back on. Let me send Mike a note, tell him I'm back on 40. Maybe a couple more people have shown up there. And I'll do an RBN type long format CQ. It looks like there are a few more stations on 40 meters now. Only need 2 more. I'm hoping the RBN is picking me up because I cannot get a message through to my buddy Mike at all right now. Yeah. Here we go. Oh, just got signal again all of a sudden. So now this is really nice. WA4 RCW in Tennessee, being the kind person they are, worked me twice. Now this really matters today. See, each in Parks on the Air, so I worked them on 60 meters and now on 40 meters. That counts as 2 separate entries. Now for Summits on the Air, that would not count. But for Parks in the Air, it does. And on a day like today where I'm struggling to get 10, it really makes a difference. Really makes a difference. So only need 1 more to have 10 now. And for anybody who's stuck it out with me on this, this is my longest video ever, if I decide to even post this. This is my longest video ever with the least amount of contacts. So it's a little bit of a record. I need to put a big old warning up at the beginning of this video, like, you just don't even know what you're getting into now. He's leaving. My beagle buddy is walking off into the sunset. I guess he got a little tired of waiting for that 10th contact too. I'm getting all these messages all of a sudden. I'm getting a ton of messages. And many, many, many thanks to K8 Nancy Whiskey Delta for getting me out of this activation alive. Okay, that's somebody calling CQ, and that's fine, because you know what? I am hopping off of here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me here today and for making this work. I'm actually very pleased with this antenna. I think no matter what I would have had up today, it would have been a really horrible day just looking at the bands. But I'm glad I had this instead of a vertical, because I think this probably performed better. I got some of these Tennessee stations I wouldn't have gotten likely with having this in sort of an inverted V configuration. Very pleased with this. Now I'm going to pack up very, very quickly and make my way back. So thank you again for hanging out here today and for helping me through this activation, which was not an easy one. But like I said, I very well could have left with this not being a valid activation. I'm fine with that. So don't ever let that stop you. If you've got things to do, don't let it get you down that you didn't get a valid activation. At the end of the day, it's all about getting out and playing with radios outdoors and just having a good time. Okay, everyone, thank you very much, and 7 threes.